We got 6 minutes.
Yeah.
So we're
Do
missing.
you want to now record for that 6 minutes?
It was interesting because last time we were talking kind of election stuff.
Oh, no.
Remember, well, we were nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just having casual conversation and and I'm like,
You don't.
I have flip over. I mean, I just have that, a slight reference to
I
the
know, yesterday when you asked.
property for sale, but I don't know if I should say that.
how are you?
Let's talk about that maybe.
Okay.
Good, good.
Because I don't think we're prepared for that conversation.
Okay.
It's also not on the agenda.
What's that?
It's also not on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
We were just talking about Robert's rules.
We were. I'm probably gonna let you take the parking topic so you can walk us through what the maps are showing and whatnot, if that's all right. Oh,
I love how you all get here early now. It's great.
5 minutes early.
that's the first one in the room.
It's me.
That
Military.
is the first.
Military.
Get that on the recording.
I already had to spend like an hour and a half with him today, so I mean, you're really testing. Just kidding, of course. Of course. But now it's on. It's official.
Sorry, but if I'm late.
Oh, gosh.
They want us to.
Well, that's the start of class, isn't it?
Yeah.
What did Lombardi say? If you're not 15 minutes early,
You're late.
Yeah.
A couple times, so yeah.
He also-
do an ops briefing, they'll be like, okay, time hack, and they'll lock the door.
Oh,
That's
that's
tough.
serious.
You're like, there you go.
Enforcement, natural consequences.
You don't show up late to ops meetings.
I thought you would.
You get some stale broth.
Oh,
Put it
in water.
Put it in a. Person showed up. Say, it's great, I'll see it.
Oh.
Here's the bill.
Yeah. He doesn't say they were only like 3 or 4 minutes late.
and how did that play out? Oh. Good. Have a sense of humor.
Is he coming or no?
He didn't say he was coming, but I asked if you're not going to be here, tell me. And he was running a little late last time too. So I just think we have all these early birds and it's not officially even 6
No.
o'clock.
For the record, I'm not checking Facebook.
Can't be party when you.
All right,
True.
everyone.
Stuff very sure.
Attention.
Give him demand.
Yes, the former teacher. Yeah.
Okay, boring. We're going to see what happens. All I'm saying is be like, "Well, this weekend, so she had,
Oh, boy.
you know.
Yeah.
So we do have quorum. So
I'd
at
be nervous
6 you
too.
could start the meeting. Wait,
Yep.
you know.
I plan on it.
We want to reward those that got here.
Please note in the record that Mr. Burt will. Yeah. 1 minute. He's not next door at traffic.
That's the reason for the you gotta take care of it all.
Ready for Alderman Berger to come back from next door.
Oh, my.
Hopefully that's not.
You're getting us in all sorts of trouble. I'm assuming you all read about the Zoom thing in the Daily Times if you get it. Yeah. So,
Fortunate that make changes.
Yeah.
Using.
Yeah.
yeah.
Zoom bombing.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Okay.
you were a witness to any of it, but yeah.
It's 6 o'clock.
Oh,
Oh, Walking in right on time.
Right on.
Hello.
I'll stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call. Alderman Byrd. Jacob Moss, Mr. Zimmerman, Mr. Board, Mr. Yoon, myself in attendance, Mr. Alderman Arnett's in attendance as well. Members from the public. Would you like to identify yourselves?
I'm John Cash, 204 West Main Street.
Stephanie Brewer, Watertown Main Street Program.
Brian Collins, Watertown Main Street Program.
All right, thank you very much. We do have a quorum. Call the meeting to order. First item up, approval of the prior meeting minute.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Mr. Board, second by Mr. Zimmerman. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, at this time, we can open it up for public comment. Would any members of the public like to comment at this time?
So is it similar to council where you can just say something and doesn't create a debate item?
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. My informal poll on Saturday was that parking was not a problem. There was lots of people in town for a big event. And I asked quite a few people, I was in town for 3 or 4 hours. And nobody complained. I asked them specifically about parking in the town square area. And nobody had complaints. Now, mind you, they were parking to walk to a walk. But that's all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, it's and for a little bit.
Anybody else? Okay. All right, item number 6. Review and take possible action on the sign grant applications. You all should have received both applications in your emails.
So we do have a subcommittee on this.
We do.
So I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have to necessarily go through the applications. Mr. Hume and Mr. Moss have already sent them to us via their approvals. One thing that I wanted to bring up from the sign grant process as a whole, not sure how this happened, but the point of our sign grant was to take care of the rest of the city where Main Street handles Main Street. One of the things that our grant was not supposed to restrict was neon signs or light up signs. And we unfortunately left the verbiage from Main Street in our application, so we have to take that out. Does anybody seem to have an issue with that?
No.
Okay, so let's make that change on the application form so people know that they can apply for light up signs. So
just on this, the first application, our subcommittee was able to review and provide a recommendation. The other one just came in the other day, so
Okay.
it's brand new for everyone.
are we voting on both of them tonight?
So yes, because I did send out supplemental materials that include the one that just came in. So if folks feel prepared, we can have a
Well,
discussion.
let's take them one at a time. Which one came in?
The one that,
It's nice, right?
yes.
So
I can summarize it if you'd like.
that'll be great.
It's an aluminum back sign. It's already been installed. So this would be reimbursement for previous spend. It meets the requirements as I was able to review them. It's not a vinyl back. It looks very professional. They've done all that. It's about a $300 sign. I'm looking for roughly $150 grant assistance for that. I looked it all over, saw no issues. Now, I don't know what the city's ordinance regarding signs is, but this certainly seemed benign enough that I couldn't imagine it running afoul of something. So I voted to approve that and recommend approval to the larger group.
They would have to apply for the city sign ordinance
grant.
anywhere.
Yeah,
All right.
So I think you're covered.
This body is not even responsible for.
Okay.
Correct.
So, no worries with that then. I recommended approval on the first one. I did have a chance to review the second one yesterday.
So we just,
So let's hold on. We get a motion to approve the first sign.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Hume, second by Mr. Moss. Any discussion?
So retroactive reimbursement.
How far along are we going to
I think I
allow that?
Yeah. I would say
That's a-
like this.
Good point, Tony.
And this application came in December before, we had stuff up on the website, but we,
January 5th.
oh, is it January 5th? Okay. So
Did we
this
have
person
stuff up on the website when this came in?
from way before, yeah, so
Okay.
someone must have been perusing the website because we hadn't officially launched.
Do we take into account, I mean, we advertised this was coming back, what, November, October?
I think it was.
Maybe even earlier than that?
Yeah, we were waiting for the closeout for the TID4 funds
That's right.
officially, but I think even in the paper it was in the summer that it was talked about.
Is it fair to assume that people
Yes, it is.
would be planning on applying for this
Yeah.
when we advertised it, even though the application didn't open until later date? And we should maybe use the start date of our advertising as the pointer Tony's making as the acceptable time period.
I think that's reasonable.
Me too.
Tony, do you agree?
I don't think this one is unreasonable, but somebody may say, well, this one was before, so well, what about my sign from September?
That's what I'm asking. Do we
Right.
use the date that we started advertising the program as the cutoff date?
I think if we're gonna choose a date, that seems to be reasonable, non-arbitrary.
Well,
Or Deb's gonna find out, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know there was like an article in the paper about it. I think it was over the summer. And we were waiting, I think it even on my first day, we talked about it in October, and we were waiting for the TID4 dollars to close out. And then we took some steps for approvals for the materials, and that was in February. Then we did a harder launch with social media, and so it's been a story that's been told since probably summer.
Yeah.
It doesn't, well, fairness, that doesn't answer the question.
It doesn't.
When did we start?
So we didn't launch it till March 1st officially,
Officially, the applications were open and launched, yes.
but it had been on the website. I don't know when
We
it
had-
was put
we
on
had
the
the criteria,
website.
everything was on the website back in the fall.
But when did we as a board actually approve it? Because I think that was after that. That's what I'm going back through.
Yeah.
After what? Can't be after March 1st.
No, meaning I think it was after the summer. It wasn't like we approved everything back in the summer. By my
Yeah, it was,
recollection.
I think, just talked
But
about.
even if it was only approved on the 1st of March, I don't believe anything in the literature said that it had to be. That it was a proactive, you had to apply for the grant before the sign was produced. I mean, I don't believe there was any date put on that, so. It is admittedly very vague as to when the eligibility date comes out. But I think if we were as a board to say from the time that we advertised that we were going to do this to the public. And then start, obviously, we wouldn't be officially reimbursing until 1st of March, but we're already past that date. And use that as kind of our internals. Hey, if you want retroactive reimbursement, we're not going to reimburse you before we advertise this program. But if you did in good faith, put this sign together, pay for it with the understanding that you'd be able to apply for reimbursement since we had advertised that, then we in good faith will honor your application.
I don't know if I agree with that. Our process at Main Street is you apply before you put the sign up. And you get paid based on an invoice that said you put the sign up. Because otherwise,
It's debatable.
you guys are right, we're gonna get signs that are
Mm,
9 months old. People asking for us to pay them. I think you gotta make the request before you put the sign. up.
But
By
did
the
we
way,
specify that in the?
Specified.
Well,
That's, yeah,
I would argue that's in the category of, do you have to specify that? I mean, it's not a natural thing to assume that it can go back in time and recover funds for something that is new.
No, there's-
But I think
That's not normal.
to your point, I'm looking at a bill that says the sign was shipped on December 12th. So I'm concerned we're establishing a precedent.
Well,
It basically say anybody can come in anytime they want. So what if some guy comes in 5 years after the sign's installed, paying?
Well, no, because as we said, we posted this at a certain time. We posted that and put it out officially to the public and said, we're going to do this. I think in good faith at that point, we need to honor it.
That date is what he's saying.
So it wouldn't be
But
5
again,
years.
I'm okay
It wouldn't
with
be
that,
5
but
years ago,
again-
it would be several months ago. Yeah, October
And
5th.
if it's not in policy, I think it should be.
Okay.
But you've got to apply before you put the sign up. And that eliminates the going back.
And I'm fine with amending the policy as we amended to, allow the sites to put that in. This application must be done before the
Renderings,
signs
right?
are paid.
Yeah.
But
I don't know, it's probably,
Right.
I think,
it's 120
I know.
bucks. But I'm concerned about the president.
yeah,
I agree.
He's a new business. At that location, he's been in Watertown forever, but
Yeah, I know.
he just moved into that location and he wants to be at that location with a new sign. And he brought that sign, obviously, for that reason. I think, Todd's on mark with it. I think, the amount we got here,
Well, hold on, Ken. I don't think anybody's arguing whether or not this application should. I mean, I think we're okay with this one. I think what Steve's bringing up is, do we need to amend our application to stop in the future anybody from coming
I'm
back?
perfectly fine with that. If you want to amend it, I have no objection to that, but I do think since we put it out, we're kind of bound in good faith to honor what we put out back on the 5th of October.
Well, but again, you gotta be careful with disagreeing totally, but I don't know how many other signs have been put up like this.
Yeah.
Right, so
Well, but worst case, let's say.
Pandora's box gets opened.
That was wrong with the date, but
Yeah, but worst case scenario, let's say we do get some applications from October through March. Is it that bad of a thing to say, hey, we're going to help, we're going to use this money that was set aside for signs to reimburse you for signs, even if they were put up, from the time that we advertised publicly. I mean, the whole point of this was to encourage people, small businesses to be able to have better signage and to offset some of their operating costs as a result.
Yes.
Worst case scenario, if some people a few months ago decided to ask for it.
Not a hill I want to die in.
No, I'm not gonna
concerned about setting a precedent.
I don't want to die on the hill either, but I'm just, my
Oh.
feeling.
We need to find out what that date is first. So
September 30th was the first date on your website,
on our website,
There we go.
on your Facebook page. And then reposted October 6th.
But
And your application.
for the
was marked
record,
as-
my concern is not when we
Yeah.
started this. My concern is when you accept an application,
Yeah,
do you require the application to come before the sign? Right? Or do you just say, hey, you threw up a sign and now you want a grant, so we'll give you a grant? See the difference?
yes.
And like I said, what we do on Main Street is you gotta ask first. Right? Because candidly, some people have said, well, if you're not gonna give me a grant, then I can put a sign in.
Should, are you saying that we should, moving forward, not accept applications unless it's,
I think you need to, I would
So-
suggest that our requirement should stipulate that you must request the grant for the sign before you install.
I would agree with that. I have no objection to that.
So that's my motion.
there you go. Thank you.
Okay, I think we should do a motion.
So
And Dr. Arnett said he supports that. So there you
motion
go.
for Mr. Board to amend the application to include the sign application you've submitted prior to work being done.
going forward,
Yes, going forward. Going forward. Post this
going
meeting.
forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
Mr. Berg will second it.
I'm not a doctor, but I do play one on TV.
Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
So there is one other issue. Again, you use the Main Street program as the sample. Okay. We require an invoice, a paid invoice before we reimburse.
Main Street does.
And again, you modeled this program after ours. We require a paid invoice.
Does this not?
There's an invoice
It's
that's
not a
sort
paid
of.
invoice, it's
Well, the
reimbursable.
sign is there, at the location. It's already been installed.
I don't know.
Say we do it intentionally. Because
This
we
one.
want the work to be done and paid for.
And I understand you would do that just to make sure somebody isn't billing for a sign that doesn't exist. I totally
Well, it's
understand.
also because we don't want somebody.
Yeah, I think.
Jacob, the application does not ask for
Yeah,
that.
we've been broke.
If we've modeled it after Main Street, why did we not include that? I'm just asking.
I don't.
Can we look into that?
I'll hold off on that one.
Well, just because if we modeled it after the Main Street one, I mean, from my understanding is it was gonna be pretty much word for word. I mean, we even took the neon sign part that we just had to take out. So I would like to know whether, I guess I haven't looked at it that deeply.
I think the board can clear their own path, as informed by Main Street, but, this
Because
is,
we don't have to, we don't have to duplicate.
yeah, it's, this.
No, but I like the policy. I mean, we do it with other things, so.
And it's a bit of a double-edged sword, and that the idea is we're trying to do this to offset so that they can afford to buy these things.
Yep.
But then they have to have the money to buy it before they can get the grant to reimburse, so. I understand that they would go into the debt and then get reimbursed. I'm okay with that, but I was just thinking about,
Yeah.
would it be something else? Yeah.
We investigated $21,000 of grants this morning through our program. Okay,
Yeah.
all that work has to be done before we're gonna give them the 21,000.
And those get trickier because you're talking about a $5,000 reimbursement for the
Right.
price, so there has to.
Sure.
So.
But again,
Let's,
another hill I wanna die.
no, that's great. Deb, let's look into the application and see what our verbiage says compared to Main Street's on Steve's topic, and we can discuss it at the next meeting and
We do have.
possibly make a change.
Here,
You what?
we do have the application.
Oh, yeah, well, that's true.
And it does not
It
specify.
did not
that.
specify, okay.
We voted on.
We've voted on your motion. We have not voted on the application
I will
yet.
move to approve the SNS.
I will second it. Any discussion on the SNS window application? All in favor? Aye.
I
Opposed? Okay, that sign grant carries.
think on the topic of reimbursements, we'll find that from a city's perspective, and given that we are an arm of the city, that for proper auditing, it should be a paid invoice.
I just said that I know the city does it with other programs. I would think we would do the same with ours. So
Someone want to
So-
make a motion?
would you like to make a motion, Tony, that our application includes that verbiage?
Yes.
Motion to add the paid invoice portion on our application be reimbursed, not just the invoice, not just the estimate. Seconded by Mr. Board.
Thank you, Dr. Board.
Any discussion?
Moving.
Yeah, moving forward. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, second application, the STEM Academy. Todd, you said you went through this application this morning?
I did, although now I'm starting to feel a little hungry. So again, I reviewed it. It appears to me, obviously, this is an invoice, not paid invoice, but not an issue at this point. The date on this one was 3/16, so bit more recent, so hopefully not to be an issue. It's after the 1 March official start date. This was a higher one. It was a $2,000 sign. So it would max out the reimbursement that we're doing, I believe, at $1,000 reimbursement. But again, I think it was designed and made in such a way that it's tasteful. It fits what we're trying to do with the program. In my opinion, I like it was appropriate use of the grant, and I was going to recommend that you approve it.
Motion?
Motion,
Well, it's just a recommendation, and we need a motion, I'll promotion it.
motion.
All right. I move that
There you go. Motion to move forward with what would it be, the city center sign? The STEM Academy City Center sign. Seconded by Mr. Zimmerman. Any discussion?
Yeah.
The only question I would have is, did they put in here at all about removing the other signs? Because that building has signs all along the other side of the building too. I was just kind of curious if they
No,
mentioned any of that.
They would have to remove them if they exceeded the square footage for the signs that
Okay,
are wall mounted.
okay. Because I know that at one point, a lot of the businesses were on the Jones, it would be, no, it wouldn't be Jones. Yeah, Jones Street.
Yes.
So, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Just a clarification.
Yeah.
Jacob,
Yep.
you said that. But all the signs are included in this package.
No,
All
no,
the,
it's,
all the proposed signs.
the other existing signs, there's probably 4 other existing signs on the Jones Street side of their building.
I think it referenced that this city center sign is in 2 locations.
You get frontage based off each side gets different, or your square footage is calculated based off the frontage on that street. You can see in this one picture that there are existing signs here.
Yeah,
That those would need to be removed if they exceed the square footage for the frontage. Yeah, that's on the building inspection.
Okay. On to the next item. Review and take action on Watertown Parks, Recreation and Forestry Department 2026 program and event sponsorship request. Deb, I'm gonna turn this over.
we have the letter from Parks and Rec for the request and justification for it and all the activities they do and the need for grant dollars. They have a breakdown of what $100 gets you 200, and they leave it wide open as far as how much you might want to contribute. We do have money in our marketing budget for these kind of things.
The ask is to sponsor something.
Well, they just want a contribution and then they could apply it to any of these. I don't know that you have to specify what you want it to go towards, but they give you kind of the universe of options.
We have not done
That-
this in the past, correct?
Correct.
Brian, are you here for that topic?
I am not.
Do you know about the topic?
I received the letter. Chose not to support person. I'm no longer affiliated.
Yeah, I know, but I know you got a background of being involved.
I do. But, no, I'm not. I'm here for the pleasure of the meeting.
Okay.
That's in family health.
Well, thank you, Ken.
Because we have done one of those. So we've done one of these in the past.
You have, that was a $2,000.
We did 2,000. So of the different categories, just to make sure everybody's on the same page, the Benson Family Town Square Entertainment sponsorship is something the RDA has done every year that the park's been open. And it's a 2,000, we've normally contributed $2,000.
Mhm.
But all this other stuff we've never done. Am I reading that correctly?
I just looked over the past years.
I don't believe we have.
Well, I mean, it is time sensitive. We don't have anybody from the program to help advocate for the sponsorship. Should we feel obligated to act on it tonight, or do we?
Well, I mean, that's a good question.
There's no-
Makes that, but if they want money, usually they come here and they make the case for
Yeah,
it.
that's a really good point. We all agree. I mean, I'm not opposed to sponsoring an event at the town square.
I'm not
And
either.
and we have, like I said, we've done it every year. Not saying that that's a reason to keep doing it, but to Ken's point, with all these other items on here, does it make more sense to table this till next month and see if we can get somebody from Parks to come in and talk to us about it?
I think so. I'd like to know a little bit more about what events are we sponsoring and what are we looking at for cost outlays, those kinds of questions. And if we can't get those answered, it's hard to recommend it.
Well,
Right.
sorry,
And there might be some deviation in what that stuff looks like, so waiting until May. You might find that there's a different
There's some changes.
strategy.
relative to the management within the town square.
So all the more reason to table it.
It
Yeah.
probably
Okay. We're making a motion to table it.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Hume. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion's tabled, or topic is tabled. Okay, review and discuss the Main Street parking accessibility and availability. If everybody remembers correctly, we've kind of discussed keeping this on the agenda prior up all the way up until the 2028 reconstruction. So that's why it's on the agenda, and Deb has put together.
Just some
resources
resources that you might
I'll
want
let you take
to
it over.
to consider. So there was the 2022 study, parking study, which came out with some recommendations. So I included the map and kind of the discussion of these ABCD areas and where there might be deficits and, you know, what it means heading into the future. But then they broke down options for consideration based on low cost, medium cost, and high cost strategies. Some of these, you know, we've talked about signage and wayfinding and directions to those existing public parking lots as a way to address those that believe we don't have adequate parking. And to that end, I included the memo from engineering and about this was presented to the Public Safety and Welfare Committee where Alderman Davis chairs. And
Date on that?
January 29th.
January 29th, yeah. And so you'll see that same map in your materials, and the engineering department highlighted around Main Street where they will be placing signage, directional signage to those parking lots. And for those parking lots, they also reference in here where signage will go to highlight that that's public parking is available. The committee voted in support of it, and it's supposed to be happening in the spring of this year, that kind of signage, just to make you aware of what's already in the works.
Good.
I think, you know, we've talked and had presentations about parking accessibility and availability. We've talked about what we might need as we head into 2028 for the Main Street reconstruction. This was, you all asked that this be a recurring item on the agenda. So we might want to consider what open discussion, what the RDA, what you want the RDA's role to be in this. You know, there are tons of recommendations out there, options. You could recommend something for consideration from the council. There's existing things that are happening. There's some conversations moving forward too with potential grant opportunities for studies on how we can best position ourselves for the Main Street reconstruction, and more coming on that, which will obviously be working in partnership with the Main Street program and the chamber and tourism. So as we move forward on this, what are our goals and what role are we really looking to play? And that'll help narrow down any materials that I share with you. There's a lot of ideas out there, and
Yeah, I mean, definitely can attest to this. In our meeting that we had, one of the things we discussed was just awareness. People are still amazed that I didn't know that was a city lot.
Yeah.
So I think just making sure that the public is aware of lots that exist. And I know part of the reconstruction conversation was creating some MOUs with some of the private parking lots downtown during the reconstruction to make them public access. churches and whatnot. So I know the city attorney's looking into some MOU verbiage to put out, but so awareness, a map, something centralized that all departments can use, I think is a good thing. I think the RDA's role in this is, as I said in the meeting, you guys are kind of boots on the ground every day. We can be kind of a middle infielder for you. That's my take on it anyway.
I think one of the big things that the RDA could do is access from those parking lots to the businesses. That's one of the biggest challenges we have. And
Well-
there are some things that can be done downtown that will make that traffic pattern that much easier. So I think those are some of the things that we can study. I thought it was interesting, we had, I'm gonna say her name wrong, Erin Welby. Wiltie was from the Main Street, the State Main Street Association. She goes to 37 main streets in the state. And she said it's quite the misnomer that people think there's not enough parking in our main street. There's a city in the state of Wisconsin that has a problem. It's called Menominee. And its problem is the college students took out. And so they constantly have issues. But she said there is no parking issue. In some cases like us, there are signage issues.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. She said Sun Prairie just did a study. And they didn't put signs up, they put banners up. And so they're like these little flags on the poles that everybody likes. We put much diversity all the time. But they direct people to parking and they're highly visible. There's
That-
also apps now that you can plug a location into your phone and it'll tell you where the parking is for that location. But there is, and as Brian said earlier, there's more than adequate parking downtown.
You do have an enforcement problem in your lights,
Well,
and that's a broader discussion.
That was also brought up with the mayor in the meeting.
Just being downtown 5 days a week, I see.
I would admit that I think the issue that does exist downtown perhaps is parking for apartments. For those second and third floor apartments. But as far as the retail and business goes, it's really not a big of a deal.
Well, one of the things that we brought up was between Chamber and Main Street, tourism and RDA, yeah, 519. If we had one centralized location for a map, maybe that map is interactive where someone can say, I want to go to Ava's in Watertown. It would tell you during the reconstruction what lot to use and then how to get from the lot to Ava's in the most convenient way. So I think that's being looked into. So yeah, that would go along with your app, so.
And to piggyback on what you were saying, I don't pretend to be an urban planner, but I took a pretty deep dive into it after the events of the last meeting and learned everything I could about urban planning in regards to parking, reading studies, looking at all that, numbers, quotes. And what I found was the standard they use is a 90 seconds. Your parking
Is a what, Ted?
90 seconds is the standard. If you're within 90 seconds from parking to business, it's one of the standards they look at, say is there available parking. What they're looking at for a healthy downtown like we have, between 65 to 80% utilization of parking spaces. Beyond that, they say you're congested. Less than that, it's an indication you may not have a healthy downtown. We're standing at about 70%, which is right in that sweet spot. So that's very good there. And in answer to some people said, well, we need to add more lots. We need to put these lots right on Main Street. So that way it's right on Main Street. Interestingly enough, I found several studies that said when you start checkerboarding, you end up decreasing business revenue. Because what will happen is somebody will park, they'll go into the building right next to them, and they'll get in their car and drive away. But by having a more walkable downtown, they park, they go downtown, oh, we're walking past a bakery, let's stop in. Oh, I've never been into this shop, I'm right here, I'll stop in. And you end up increasing business revenue through increased traffic, foot traffic. So based on all of that, when we look at Watertown, the way we're designed, the way our parking is set up, it actually fits from an urban planning perspective, from my amateur urban planning, what the standards they're looking for already. And so I find that it fits with your informal survey and with what you learned from the Main Street lady coming around and talking. It's consistent.
One of the things we were just talking about this today, and Brian Zerbs, our zoning administrator, mentioned for the public parking lots, making sure they have a defined address. So when you put it into Google or whatever, you know, you can actually.
I think also along that lines, just myself today suffered from that. I was trying to get to a small business. I said, oh, there's a parking lot right here. It's right around the corner. I'll just zip right in. Oh, wait, no, it's a one-way street. I have to circle around 2 blocks, come around, come at it from this other angle. And I live here, so I know about the one-way. It's changing. But I'm hoping that, like you said, as we approach this 28 Main Street remodel, a big thing that we can do is to change that so that it makes it easier to utilize what we have. So people aren't circling the block trying to find a way to get to their favorite business.
Yeah, I was working with Lisa F., our communications director too, and we're more creatives. So one of the things we had talked about in other places have done is actually naming the parking lot, and you could do like a Watertown historic, like choosing names from that. So now we're not talking about, oh, that lot over there.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Pate lot.
And then downtown businesses would actually direct people to park in those parking lots.
Yes, right.
And
And
say,
then
I'm the Gosling lot, you park the
Yes.
Gosling, and then just a quick walk over to.
And it came about, Lisa actually recommended it, like if you go to, is it Miller Park still? No, it's called something
Well,
else.
Pamfield.
Okay, but you park on Yount, whatever, when you try to remember where you parked, right? They have those signs with, you know, so you're not looking. Yeah.
There's a reason.
So, yeah.
That's a great
idea.
To
some extent,
50 years ago.
public comment and having people name the lots or spend the
We
lighting
talked about that too, like a contest or something like that to name the lots. We talked about other things too, about these sidewalk decals, and no, Brian said no to that. That is not allowed in our zoning. But you know, like you could have footsteps or geese steps, you know, showing you the way. We were out of control that day a little bit.
You know, let me just understand this conversation, because again, I look downtown and I looked increasingly at the fact that there's more businesses that are off Main Street that are popping up and taking care of their properties and putting money into those on 3rd Street and 4th Street. I've seen new development that's actually healthy, and it's actually creating businesses in that block or 2 off of Main Street, which will contribute to the need for the parking that we obviously want to address and make sure is there for. Dave Pappy, when he came, made the presentation on the fact that, you know, if you want to be at current needs and current occupancy and current use of buildings, you can make the case that we're adequate, taking care of it, it's not a big problem. But if you want to, again, look at the future, which is what we're supposed to do. We're into economic development, helping our city grow, be more vibrant and all that type of thing. So I think one of our tasks is to look at down the road, what can we do to make Watertown downtown more vibrant, better than it is. And I think parking is by definition always going to be an issue, and it actually still is you know, a significant issue for us to address and take care of. I won't belabor this point, but just to make my point, on years ago we bought a house from Joy Meyer's family. We bought a property from Pat Arpin's property. We tore them down for $250,000 and we put asphalt there, and we got 14 parking stalls. We spent over $300,000 for 14 parking stalls right there across from City Hall. There's one example. I was trying to sell a parking lot on the corner of 5th and Madison, and I ended up selling it to St. Mark's for $52,000 because I tried to get the city of Watertown to buy it, and I pleaded with them at Finance Committee and everybody else. And our mayor at the time said we had money from ARPA that we could use, and it was going to be going to happen. So I thought it would. And I'm from Watertown. I'm on the council. At the time I wasn't on the council, but I wanted them to look at that example of buying it for residential. It was a good location in that regard. but they didn't want to buy it and they turned it down. And St. Mark's bought it for 52,000. And it's a beautiful parking lot. And it would have been available for some, and we already have parking on Madison on 4th and 5th. It would have been a continuation of for residential and anybody else that might have used it. And maybe the need wouldn't have been heavy, but it would have been needed, and it would have grown into the future as far as additional benefit. But we turned it down. So I'm trying to be on the side of saying in 28 we're going to address laterals as far as going into the buildings if we want to give them more capacity for fire protection and things like that. We want to address that when we do our planning for 2028. And then people are maybe going to really think more about using their buildings that have second, third, and fourth stories. And that's where you're going to have additional demand, in 28. If they do anything with their laterals to make their buildings equipped for fire protection that they don't have now, to allow that option and put an elevator in, other things that are going to cost big money, but then are going to give them the benefit of using their building more fully. These buildings are assessed based on their current usage. And if you start using these buildings downtown to their maximum optimal level, they're going to have higher valuation, they're going to have higher usage, and you're going to have more demand for those buildings, times whatever number of buildings we have. So I think Dave Pappy was making the case that, we can say we're okay, but if we want to do things looking into the future, which is our job, then I think we have to be sensitive to the fact that it's not adequate.
Well, I think if we look at the numbers, and we're at the low end of what we would expect for a healthy. And I think, as you say, as we start to expand, as we start to put more demand, as that demand climbs and we can measure it climbing, then absolutely we need to be proactive and build it out. I think right now where we're standing, there's a lot happening, but we're showing that things are stable. We're almost entirely filled on Main Street already. So we're building off Main Street, which is great. I love the fact that we've got this business-friendly environment that people are coming. And so it may turn out that this lot that we think right now we need to put this lot on, say, 5th and Madison, it turns out, no, it's actually over on the other side of the street down 3 blocks, because that's the section that's now developing. So I think we really need to kind of step back. We have some breathing room. We're on the low end of what utilization would be considered normal. And as we start to climb and get to that higher, we can see where they're starting to, put the demand, and we can start looking at what the lot options we have to supply for the demand. I don't want to go all in on saying we need more parking, putting in a big lot, and then finding out that the need is a half a mile down the road.
You're right, Todd. But just on the example I gave of how we spent 300,000 and got 14 parking stalls, when we have to buy additional parking by acquiring and demolishing and then retrofitting those lots into parking, it's expensive, for a very nominal number of additional parking.
Yeah.
So there are effective, efficient ways of addressing that in the future.
I totally agree with you there. I just think we can keep that on the radar. And as we see the development starting to plan, and as the city is growing, as we see these things popping up, we'll know more of what we need to do, what the need is, and where the need is. Right now, I think we're adequate. We are for the foreseeable near future, and then we can kind of see and replan and readjust fire as we get down the road.
Okay.
I'll just, if I may,
Yeah.
briefly repeat what I said last time, which is I consider all these studies have been done to be deeply flawed because they're casting way too wide of a net for what most people actually behave like in terms of people who are going to the businesses downtown. Fact of the matter is somebody's not going to park at the lot on 4th and Madison if they're going to one store at First and Main. It's not going to happen. So I'll just repeat that.
I'm not on this board, but I actively would disagree with you, but for a different me, because I do it, and my friends in my age group do it all the time.
And
So I think you're thinking in a lane, in a vacuum, instead of in a bigger, broader. I mean, I'm 60.
And I appreciate that, and I think that you are applying an identified known bias in terms of you based on your own experience, whereas I'm going off of the experience of others.
Well, as am I, we could make this maybe a different day at a different time, because I'm downtown 40 hours a week. I think visually I see and talk to more people downtown than you do, so I think this is a different time, just different discussion, but I think you're missing a broader voice to this subject than David Poppy or a handful of people, whoever.
I'm not going off of him, I'm going
I
off of my
appreciate
own
that.
experiments with downtown YouTube.
Okay, so we have different,
So, yeah, so.
I own 2 downtown businesses.
I know, you should.
So I think my voice would be strong in that regard, not just
Well,
bias.
one thing the David's presentation, he talked about the downtown or Watertown was designed prior to the influx of, automobiles and whatnot. And so I was kind of thinking in my head, I'm like, well, maybe we need to have somebody come in and say, how should this have been designed? And then we adjust accordingly. I don't know what the right answer is, but I appreciate the discussion, everybody. Did you have something
I was
else?
just gonna say the RDA has been in the parking game. We tore down that bar between Third and
Market Street.
Yeah, Market Street,
Right.
and it had all those parking spots. So we have done it in the
And we got
past.
16 stalls for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, it's once you start raising structures, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
And that's the issue.
I mean,
Yeah.
to Ken's point, you're going to have to do that,
Yeah.
whether you do it now or you do it
Yeah.
10 years from now, fitting Todd's timeline or whatever it is. I think it's an unfortunate thing that's going to have to happen in order to create the stalls, right?
Correct.
So it's just about when you do it
Yeah, where you do it.
and where you do it.
And not to be a laborist, but I think we are a bit. I would say, what's the trigger?
Yeah, that's a good point.
What will set us saying, okay, now it's that.
I think that's where.
Maybe that's where this body can get involved, is trying to figure out
Yeah.
where that pain point is.
Dave, to your point, I think the people that look at our community for investment and to be here as far as a business or to live here as far as a home, I think there's a lot of them that are still on the edge of trying to figure out, are we moving forward or not as a community? And I think it's not entirely clear in that regard for different reasons. So I think you're right. There's going to come a time when it's going to become apparent, and the demand is going to be very strong and obvious. And we are trying to create the momentum for that by the things we're doing as a council and as a city. But I think we are still making progress, but not it's not obvious like I'd like it to be.
And it may be that the downtown area is cost prohibitive to have parking lots for more businesses, and the downtown stays, stable, and another part of the town, perhaps down on Main Street, on the west side of Main Street, starts to develop more, where there's more open area to develop and put in the parking and put in the businesses and strip mall, whatever happens. I don't think anybody wants to tear down a residential neighborhood to put in parking lots to support an Applebee's,
Yeah.
It's gonna depend, and some of that's gonna be cost prohibitive for businesses to say, I'd love to move in here, but there's no parking, and there's not going to be because there's nowhere to put it. And so they end up buying a place down the street as opposed to, off of Main. And that's business.
Tony.
One last comment, which is I think that the signage smartly done is always a positive move.
Yes.
And then, as I mentioned at the last time we had the discussion, I think there's also easy changes to be examined in terms of how the current parking is zoned for hourly.
Okay.
And whether we have the right hours at the right locations. There could be some easy little additional moves made there.
Yeah.
And that was discussed in our meeting as well, Tony, and I think Robert was going to talk to the city attorney about what those, because that topic would be very specific to the private partnership, public partnership lots. So I know that was on.
I'm talking about the public spaces, both on street and the public lots, and which ones are 2 hour, 4 hour, 10 hour. And
Yeah.
does it make sense where we have them allocated is where I'm sure
Yep.
I'm going at.
Yeah.
And that's all within the city's control.
Yep.
Right.
And the Main Street program did that very study about 5 years ago. And that study did show, and they made changes from that study. And I think we can look at that as an example and update it based on current status. But it was done and changes were made I'm aware of that because I was part of that.
And Wisconsin Main Street would come in and do it again, which they were the facility at that time.
Yeah. But just to show when you get momentum, one thing I saw at Plan Commission was the old Perkins. Right now it's a restaurant on South Church. And what I saw, from what I understood at least, is that that's looked at being torn down for a car wash type of change. And that's, I mean, it's quite creative for someone to look at that part of town and to decide that restaurant there is no longer the highest use of that land, but to put in there a very high-tech type of a car wash, vehicle wash. That's what's going to happen downtown. A couple blocks off Main, houses that are older and maybe neglected to some degree are going to get acquired for a continuation of commercial, and it's going to branch out both north and south when you see it, and it'll become obvious.
Maybe that's the trigger.
That's the trigger. But I like what I saw with that individual deciding to tear down and put a car wash there.
Are you
because
talking about that Tommy's car wash?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna.
I mean, that's what people do when they start looking at a town. They look at they want to be in a certain location and they want a certain type of lot, and it appeals to them, and they'll incur the cost to put in their idea, and it'll happen all over. So I'm excited that it's starting to happen.
Probably why Sun Prairie uses banners instead of signs, because they keep putting up buildings and tearing them down and putting up new buildings. So, well, thank you very much for the discussion, everybody.
I just asked, do you want this to still be a reoccurring item on the agenda, or we're?
Can you find out what he was referencing with Main Street and
Yeah.
I think maybe just that'd be the topic for next month. If anybody else has anything they want to talk about with regards to parking for next month, make sure you email that to add it to that line item. All right, updates, Riverwalk update.
So we were hoping to have the Kapoor estimates come in before our meeting, but unfortunately, yep, Friday. So
Have to table that one again.
stay tuned. And then common council.
Yeah, comment. Oh, we were done with, okay.
Yeah, there's nothing I
Yeah,
can
I know, I
really
didn't
say
throw it
until we
in
get
some-
the estimates.
Till we get that.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So we get all that information from Kapoor. So,
Tony, do you have anything?
common council update.
So we've had a number of zoning actions that we've taken in the last month, particular to both of the habitat developments, with the one over by METC and the one down by Walmart. We had a presentation this week from the Dodge County Economic Work, which is a community development, which includes economic development, but has other pieces as well. So if you didn't want a chance to view that, you can see the presentation. Presentation should be attached to the council meeting materials that are posted on the city's website. And then I'll mention that with respect to the reconstruction project, I am anticipating that at next week's Public Works Commission meeting, we will be reviewing the topic of the lateral upgrades. I believe we'll be seeing a list of sites that could potentially make sense for upgrades. Again, we've not engaged with those building owners to see that's whether they want or not. This is all just an engineering analysis based on square footage. But it's something that we have to prepare for the state documentation, at least show that as a potential.
And anything you want to add?
No, I don't think I do.
Deb, development update?
So yeah, Tommy's car wash. I just want to lead with it because I thought I'm gonna go there, you know. So they have a conveyor belt, so they can do up to at least 180 cars per hour. Wasn't that something?
Yeah.
Yeah. So stay tuned for that. So the site plan review committee made a recommendation to forward it to the plan commission for approval. So it's 1727 South Church Street is the address. So stay tuned for that.
Do they have a timing on the project?
Not sure.
It has
To take down the scramble.
It does take down the screen. Yeah.
Will they have an octopus?
What's that?
Will they have an octopus?
It
I
does-
worked for years worked next to the octopus watch in downtown
Yeah.
Madison. Like
I
that.
remember
Yeah.
I went through that
The
as a kid,
octopus.
having the octopus.
You ever take your dogs through a car wash?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's an interesting experience for
A
them.
little traumatic for a lot of them, I think.
What's that?
So they take out-
Mm.
It not scrambled though. Taco Bell is significantly narrow compared to that one.
Yeah.
You know?
Just sit here thinking 180 cars.
Well,
Well,
the
that's
machine can doesn't mean that they're gonna.
What's that?
That's a capacity.
Yeah.
Capable.
Let's test it.
Mm-mm.
Be like the opening event.
Still amazing.
Yeah. Oxbow. We just received comments back from the developer's attorney related to the developer agreement, and I think we're very close to having a draft to share for approval for finance and common council. So more on that. College Park, the Habitat for Humanity that Tony mentioned, right by Madison College there. I don't know if you saw in the news, but Senator Baldwin was there. She was the author of the congressionally directed spending where secured $500,000 towards that development. So there was a small group on a very rainy day to showcase that development, and Habitat posted a video of the trucks going in there and digging out the dirt, very exciting. And that is a modular housing development. So very exciting as we explore more affordable ways to do housing.
Mhm.
That's definitely all the buzz. So I don't know if you've ever gone into a modular housing. You're looking like, what is that? So it's almost like a house in a
Prefab, they build it in the factory, take it apart, bring it here.
Really?
Yeah.
and
Split it in half, almost like a mobile home sort of a thing, but it's not. It's meant to be very actually talking about panelized.
It's panelized walls.
So it's not. Oh, okay.
It's
then
not
like
like half.
Oh, they're even doing that?
Yep.
Okay, never mind. I was thinking it was the old school way of doing it.
yeah, and they can,
Wow, that's.
They say it's a pretty amazing sight watching them pull into town.
yeah.
Must be, it's kind of like IKEA, flat packs.
The
I would encourage.
cams are a little bigger.
I would
Yeah.
encourage us to simply talk about it as housing.
Yeah.
It's just housing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Who cares how it was built? It's housing.
Just interesting that they can put it up much faster and. for a
Different
good
style of
price.
construction.
Absolutely, absolutely. But realize that some folks will have a stigma.
Sure.
Oh, like
Yeah.
They perceive as that kind of housing, and I think we just need to call it is housing. It doesn't matter how it's built, it's housing.
And if you see
That's a-
pictures
that's a
of
good
it,
point, Tony.
it's hardly distinguishable, like the technology and everything is so it's.
yeah, once it's built, it's just like a house.
Yeah. But it takes a certain, as we look for more affordable ways or builders of
Yeah.
more affordable housing, not everyone does it. So, yeah,
My home for 20% less. Okay.
yeah. And, there are other things too with the zoning changes with accessory dwelling units and how those can be used, mhm. So that's all being explored in our community and other communities too, as we look for, if you don't have land available for developing housing, other ways that we can increase the housing supply in our community. The Dodge County grant for that Habitat for Humanity project is going to be before finance on the 23rd of March, and then hopefully April 6th, the day before, the big election for approval.
What was
So-
the first date?
March 23rd before finance, and then April 6th before council. So all that is moving forward. The development by Walmart is now being called River Crossing. So if you hear that as a buzzword, still very preliminary, very preliminary. They did buy the property. I understand that they've been talking with the city with regards to stormwater, but we're still talking to them about all things that go into that. So it's in the very early stages. The Greater Watertown Community Health Foundation, that's that other affordable housing, just housing. And they're calling it Lot Zero and Gateway. As Tony mentioned, they approve rezoning from multifamily to single family for those smaller lots, just housing. So that's the development update.
Give a director update.
Yeah, here we go. So as Tony mentioned, for the committee of the whole, Dodge County, Nate Olson, who does the community development there, he's been there for like 20 or 25 years. Wealth of information, and I've tapped into him, being newer multiple times, very transparent and open with how they can help Watertown thrive. Nate, I don't know if you have observations from what he presented, but he did spend quite a bit of time talking about workforce and really the value of that being part of community development and all the things that they're doing in Dodge County to create that pipeline, seamless pipeline from the apprenticeship program and the tech colleges and the partnerships they built and the businesses that they brought in to make all of that very successful. And one of the first things when I met with Nate, when I took this job, he connected me with the high school and their Watertown High School and their apprenticeship program. And I don't know if any of you have taken a tour, but it's amazing what Watertown is doing and the equipment that they brought in for people to kind of have real world experiences. So moving forward, tapping into that and perhaps expanding that program and figuring out pathways for success to keep people in our community and just career exploration in those fields that kind of expertise is really needed and jobs galore out there. So do you guys have any observations from what Nate presented, takeaways or?
No, I already complimented him. I thought he was nothing but full of energy and passion, and we need people like him because to the extent he focuses on Watertown, obviously through his Dodge County areas of involvement, we benefit directly or indirectly. But I just think he was the real deal.
Yeah.
He's good. We benefit.
And that $100,000 grant that we got for the Habitat for Humanity, the College Park project, that was through, they used sales tax revenue for that grant program. And he was the architect of that. He created all of that, and we're seeing the fruits of it, with the Wilbur Street extension, that $100,000 grant. So yeah, some really exciting things happening.
So you must have regular contacts with people like him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because of who he is and how he can help you with Watertown, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he has all that expertise and like I said, very transparent and willing to share. Here's the work plan. Here they have like a manufacturing council pairing up the business leaders and regular meetings, and he gave me the plan he's just very transparent.
I always felt Jefferson County was more the county where actually on growth, it's really where you have obviously more obvious growth in Jefferson County versus Dodge, but the areas of his involvement gave me a higher appreciation for Dodge County and the things they are doing right currently. I was pleased.
So that was exciting for him to come visit because I think their communications person a while back presented, but Nate hadn't done that in a while. The bike and pedestrian network plan went before Public Works. Did you?
And before City
Yes.
Council last night.
Yes, so there was a positive recommendation with kind of some caveats.
Yeah,
Would you say?
I think that Alderman Smith had it correct last night to remind everyone that the intention of this particular plan is less as a set of instructions of what to go build as it is about a set of guidelines. If you have a project come along, use this plan as a guide of, does that project make sense? Because the reality is, if one were to try and go and build everything that's there, just the main list of projects, let alone all the amenities associated with them, it's $10 million, which we simply don't have and won't have.
Right.
Let alone the tens of millions of dollars required to maintain that over the subsequent 20 to 30 years. So it's really not intended as a, hey, we're going to build all this over the next X many years. It's intended as a, if you have something come along, does it make sense in this context?
We keep coming back to Public Works, Tony, but there was a recommendation for the main street for an alternative lighting option that say if it doesn't delay things with the plan moving forward would save like $500,000. That would be very similar from what's recommended. And seemed a good pathway forward to have something that's aesthetically pleasing, very similar to what was initially proposed, but could save 500,000, presuming it doesn't slow things moving
Do we know
forward.
when we'll find that out?
Well, I know they're making,
Ongoing discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
one more, well, another thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Ryan and I have been making visits with our
Making the rounds to
partnership banks with our line of credit that we had offered. We're entering the fourth year really of a 6-year commitment with the more recent the Goose and the Gander being a recently approved loan applicant at a 5-year loan at 4.95%. So a really good rate.
Well, what we're finding out is when the original program was put together, this board looked very different. Sort of the employees at the bank. So this is it was very good exercise for us to go around and have these meetings and
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing that.
and it's been good. Plus,
Yeah.
we'll have some stuff in the future coming up.
Yeah, and
too.
we're previewing as we look for business continuity.
Yeah, so Tony, to your point, when we talked about Main Street a while back during the reconstruction, I did a little research. City of Oshkosh had a really, really successful program. So as we're having these meetings, we're telling them that
We're coming back.
we're gonna be coming back because we're gonna try to see if there's something we can put together to get us through this reconstruction. All of them seem very open and positive about putting something together. So
Very exciting. That's all that I
yeah,
have.
okay.
Just to sort of piggyback on Deb's report for development and for under the executive director update, but also with our council, we got told last night, and that was in today's paper on Riverfest, as far as its decision to not have a full event for 26, and that's obviously a big disappointment. But you know what it is, again, there's been over 35 years of continuous use of that park for Riverfest in a very active way, and it's been meaningful and successful. Everybody knows the benefits of our Riverfest, but and maybe we should have just assumed that there was going to be a need for some proactive type of reinvestment into the Riverside Park area that is impacted by the Riverfest project. But it is what I read and what I heard last night from Jonathan Lampe is a reminder that for us to have those types of events, which are so meaningful to our community because of how it gives, a positive light to the things we do as a community. Other people come in, they mentioned in their report, 46,000 people came into Watertown or used the Riverfest during that 4-day period. So it's such an economic benefit, and it's so good for our town. But it came across that there's a need for reinvestment into some of the buildings, facilities, infrastructure, other things about it. And so I'm hoping that our RDA to the degree we can be helpful for our city, that we can work together with the Riverfest committee to try to find where we can be helpful on getting it addressed on some of the concerns they had that caused them to give a pause in doing the program this year.
Just gonna. It would have been most beneficial if they had raised those concerns at a time before they had made their decision.
I agree.
And a time where we could have actively done something in advance.
I agree again.
I still think there's an opportunity for us to do something even now, but they seem to have made their own decision unilaterally. And
Yeah,
I would
I'm bothered by
not
it.
tie the two together.
I understand, Tony, you're right. But it's still a problem for us to be aware of and to try to address in some way to help it move forward, knowing that there was maybe some mistakes made or some lack of planning or communication that caused this hiccup or pause.
I seriously appreciate their concern about not having enough volunteers.
Yep.
It's a tremendous amount of effort, and frankly, they don't get thanked enough for
That's
it.
right.
And it's unfortunate some of the criticism that went their way when it's, well, if you're going to be critical, step up and volunteer, right? Because that's what they need.
I know it.
And so I definitely feel for them in that regard.
Yep.
Okay, moving on, we did get a social media report. We have not had much to advertise, but we do now. We have signed grant application approved. The last Phelps grant, we haven't taken those pictures yet, so we'll have some stuff hitting our social media feed in the next 30 days. So I'm hoping this report looks significantly better next month than it does this month.
Yep.
Seeing that the content interactions down 41%.
Yep.
So that would be my take on what I'm reading here. But hopefully that'll pick up. So. Okay, anybody else want to talk about social media? Did we find out from Lisa on the other platforms? I know she was going to work on that.
The LinkedIn, so you gotta find passwords.
Oh, I'm sure.
And we are explorers on that.
Okay,
Yeah.
give her a little more time. Is that what you're
Yep.
saying? Okay, gotcha. All right. Any future items other than what's been discussed tonight that need to be brought up? Please email Deb. Other than that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hune. Second by Mr. Zimmerman. All in favor? Have a good night, everybody.
Okay.
Has there ever been a motion to adjourn that's been defeated?